In this video, we'll show you how to retrieve the sound data from your SonarPoint recorder and convert it into WAV files. So your sound is stored in a raw format on SD cards up to 8 in the recorder. Please review the earlier video, the first one, where we're talking about the importance that the SD cards are tested to make sure they really work with a SonarPoint recorder. And we do deliver a USB hub with your system. Notice that your hub has a power input here. So it's not a hub that's powered through the USB port itself, and that is important because sometimes these SD cards can produce current spikes that might cause you some trouble in reading the data of the SD cards if you don't have a powered hub. The SD cards plug into SD card reader. Again, it is supplied and tested with your recorder. Typically, you will have 8 SD card adapters. Also, I want to point out, notice how I marked my SD cards 1, 2, 3, 4, so I know where they came from in the recorder. That is a good idea to keep track of it. We don't mark them for you, so you mark them yourself. Next thing, I plug in the USB cable into the computer, and you will have heard the sound signal from the computer saying it detected the connection. Then I plug in the SD cards. Alright, so now here on the screen you can see in the Windows Explorer that this new SD card showed up as a drive, but here in the pop-up you can see it says it needs to be formatted. Well, data is recorded on these SD cards by the recorder in a raw format, not a format that Windows recognizes, and therefore you have to hit cancel. You can also plug in more than one card at a time, and it should get recognized. You can see it can take a little while. So now we have arrived here at the 4th card. What's very important is that you see all 4 drives registered. If that doesn't happen for whatever reason, you may have to unplug a card and plug it back in, sometimes reboot your PC. So it all depends on Windows recognizing these cards in its own drive management system. I'll cancel out of these last pop-up boxes here. And now all cards are registered. The next thing that you need is you need a file reader utility called SPR. And so you can find SPR on the Desert Star website. Products and software, and here we are at SonarPoint, and there's SonarPoint Reader. This is where you would download this software. You install it, just unzip it, put it into a drive on your PC, and we recommend you just put it directly into the SPR folder directly on C, like this. This is a console utility, which means you have to activate it using the command prompt. So you type CMD in your start window here, just like I did here. Right click on it, this is very important, and run CMD as administrator, so it will have the privilege to access these storage cards directly rather than being denied by Windows for some of these accesses that it needs to make. So run CMD as administrator. Here we go. And now you go to the SPR folder, SPR, and here we are. And then if you type SPR dash question mark, you will see some help here. So now we get the help as to the arguments that are available for the SPR command. And you can follow me through here how I am using this. So SPR, then I'm going to go -S 0. That means which is the first file on each SD card that I want to read. And I'm going to say 0 starting at the first file. Maybe you're doing some partial reads and you're going to change it, start at the 100th file or whatever. And this is per SD card. So if you have 4 SD cards, they all start reading on file 0 on that SD card and so on. -C, how many files I want to read, I'm going to put in here 200. Now, special thing about that, this system is set up that even if you should have accidentally reformatted your SD card while in the SonarPoint recorder in the configuration, if you remember that, you can still access your files. And so the C count tells the SPR how many files you want to read. Here I'm saying 200. But let's say there was only 100 files from the previous mission on your recorder, and then hidden in the background behind it was several more from previous deployments. Well, you would get some of these now read as well. So be aware of that. You may have to do some sorting by timestamps. The next thing, I'm going to specify where I want to put these files. That's the -D command, and it is explained here. It tells me that I have to start with a quotation mark, and I'm going to put my files on the C drive. I'm going to make a new folder called audio. And now I'm going to use some of the naming options I have here. I'm going to say letter R for recorder. And then I'm going to do this, DN. And notice here in this example how they used _DN in this case as part of a folder. So you can also define folders. And it came out as device number 0. It was recorder number 0 in their example. Now I'm going to do an underscore, year, month, day, hour, minute, second. All right, that is going to be my naming convention. And let's see what we get. All right, here's the first file being downloaded. You can see, again, the R is in here, then 1013, that's the serial number of this recorder, underscore 2020, May 14th, and then here's the time, and the time will always be in UTC time. It will not be in your local time zone. Keep that in mind. Let's see how fast this is going. These are 5-minute recording segments. So you can see, for example, this one is 01:21 hours and 17 seconds, and then it's 01:26, so that's 5 minutes later, and so on. How long does it take for each one? We'll wait for the next one here. We're at 12 seconds right now. Okay, and now we're at 21 seconds, so that was 9 seconds for 5 minutes worth of data. So the speed that this operates on depends on your computer, how fast your drives are. Solid state drives are better than hard drives, how fast your processor is, how many cores, how much memory, a whole number of things, USB port 3 or 2 type, and so on. So on this machine here, if I sample at 100 kilohertz, then the data recovery and conversion to WAV files will be 100 times faster than recording. So it will take me 1/100th the time to convert it as it took to record it. Right now I'm running at 300 kilohertz, and so I'm only 30 times faster than recording because there's 3 times as much data in each file than there would be if I was recording at 100 kilohertz sample rate. Now, as you're dealing with weeks and months and years worth of data, you want to have a fast computer system. So we do deliver the notebook with, that you have with your system, but perhaps you might want to ask your IT guy to install a very powerful system for you so you can maximize the speed of this conversion process. So meanwhile, let's take a look what's actually showing up on our computer here. See, and there's an audio folder, and here you now see your WAV files. Let me sort here by type. Here's all my WAV audio files. They're all 175 megabytes long. There's also an Excel file always associated with each one that has a little bit of information, not much. It's not really an Excel file, it's a CSV file, and date and time of the recording. And for some of the modes, remember the recorder has a built-in GPS, it records the latitude and longitude you were at. So that is the raw, the conversion from raw to the WAV format. I want to show you one other trick here. Let me just Control-C out of this, abort this process. I just hit the up arrow key, and so I get my same command back. That's a little bit of a trick here to make it a bit faster. I'm going to put it in a different folder this time, audio 2. It's going to be the same files. Then notice this right arrow and mylog.txt. So rather than streaming the output here as to what files were downloaded to your console, I'm just redirecting it to a file called mylog.txt. And I can already see if it shows up. It would be in the SPR folder. And let's see if there's now something called mylog. Yes, I can already see it in here. Let's see what's there. And there you can see now the list of files that it's downloading. That, again, is something that is quite worthwhile to hang on to. Again, it becomes all about data management. You can have a massive amount of data you're dealing with, many thousands of files, and it is a significant processing chain from the raw data on the SD file until you finally have your analyzed data. Things can go wrong in this processing chain, and so this helps you keep track of what you really downloaded. If later on maybe you are seeing, oh, I'm missing some files, you can go back and see, were they downloaded? Were they on the card? Or, and if so, then maybe they got somewhere else, or maybe they just weren't on the card. So you will have that information available to you.